Hello everyone, come on in. In this video, my wife and I are teaming up to try something a little different. Painting a canvas by hand, no spray paint, before engraving it with a laser. She asked me to help her make one, but let's just say spray painting isn't exactly recommended for her current condition. So we figured, why not try painting it by hand? So we grabbed a few tubes of acrylic paint in different colors and decided to see if the painting method works just as well or maybe even better. If this goes well, we might just open the door to doing more detailed, multicolor projects in the future. We'll see. Now, between us here, if you're able and can spray paint, go that route. If you're not able to spray paint at all because of medical conditions or your living arrangements do not allow it, you can hand paint it, but I'm going to tell you it takes a bit more work, more tests, and the results will be spotty. See, the beauty of spray painting is that you have a bit more control over the thickness of the paint you're applying. It is more even. It just looks so nice. I don't want to spoil things too much, but I have a feeling you will see what I mean when we're done here. We picked up a few different brush sizes plus some tools we had bought for past projects but never actually used. You know how that goes. We got 2 canvases and 1 MDF panel, 1 canvas for the testing and the other one for the real deal. The MDF, well, that was kind of a last-minute side experiment just to see if painting by hand works on that surface too. It is big enough to cut in 2, 1 for testing and 1 for engraving. We'll start simple with a black and white engraving, and if that works, we'll try adding color later. With full-time jobs and a toddler running around, this project might take a little longer than expected, but hey, we're used to it, right? We gathered our materials and decided to follow the standard plan, right? 2 layers of white, 1 of gray, and 1 of black. That layer of gray is my personal preference. Some might say it's not needed, but I feel it gives it a bit more of a smooth look to the final piece, so I go with that. Try it out and let me know what you think. We decided to work inside so my wife wouldn't have to navigate the mess in the garage. And before we got too far, she had the brilliant idea to protect the table, which was a fantastic move. Even though we're using water-based acrylic paint, there's no need to take chances. So I grabbed one of our shipping boxes from back in the day. Fun fact, I used to make cutting boards and clocks. I prepped the MDF in the garage by sanding and spraying it with primer. I know, this was supposed to be a by hand painting project, but I didn't have a brush on primer handy and we were already filming, so hand apply primer should work the same. While I handled the MDF, my partner in crime worked on prepping the canvas, checking for defects, wiping off dust, teamwork in action. We started painting with brushes, thinking it was the artsy way to go, but as you'll see, we are not exactly Michelangelo or Da Vinci. The paint was more runny than expected, and the brush left streaks everywhere. So I ran to the garage and found a small foam roller, so things went much better from that point. The first coat of white went on. It's hard to see white on white, right? But we'll find out how it settles once it dries. Excitement and some nervous laughter started to kick in. We are confident, but not too confident. Using the W or M pattern, depending on how you look at it, right? She rolled paint onto the canvas and MDF, then finished with 1 even stroke to smooth it out. It worked pretty well, but the roller left some marks on the MDF, which we're hoping won't stick around. We let everything sit for a few hours now. Normally with spray paint, 2 to 3 hours is enough, but this paint was new to us and I had zero confidence at this point. We checked on it through the evening and 4 hours later and it was not ready. We hope to get 2 coats today, but got what we could get. Pro tip, wrap your roller in a plastic bag and stick it in the fridge. This keeps it from drying out and you don't have to wash it every time. Just let it return to room temp before using it next time. The next day, the canvases looked good. The MDF, still a little sticky. The roller texture was definitely sticking around. We went ahead with the second coat of white. Then we gave the canvas their first coat of gray. That galactic gray, as I kept calling it, had a metallic vibe and applied nicely. Having a white base helped out a lot with the coverage. We waited again, and you know how it goes. Life, work, family. At this point, we were on day 3. The final coat for the canvas is black. The MDF got another coat of gray, but we were hitting our rhythm now. I don't know what it is, but painting with black just feels so satisfying. Great coverage, except some areas on the canvas didn't take the paint fully. We tried patching those with a light touch-up coat, but it didn't fully work. Another tip, once you're done using the rollers, wash them in lukewarm water and some soap. Squeeze and wash until you see clear water coming out of the roller. Then let them dry before storing them for next time. And we're finally here. The canvas and MDF are dry, well, mostly, but nothing unmanageable. It's been a long journey and we are ready. As they say, you can't spell paint without a little pain. Now it's my wife's turn to choose the image. I got a bit of a theory here. It's going to be a big cat. Tigers, lions, leopards, they always show up by the second or third series engraving. I did it too, that's what I'm saying. Let me know in the comments when your first big cat showed up. Let's collect some very unscientific data together here.
Hello there, this is Mrs. Build. Happy to be here and get to know you guys. We are browsing Creative Fabrica now. They've got a great selection of high contrast images for laser engraving. Plus, they have tons of graphics for 3D printing, crafts, needlework, and more. You know, I think I'm going to go with this picture. There are plenty of nice pictures here, but this one speaks to me. Same with the other one, but this is the one I think. Like the man said, the affiliate links are in the description below if you want to check them out and support our channel.
Once we have picked the image, I open XCS and import it. I create a rectangle matching my canvas size to help with positioning. I do a little cropping to have the image fit just right. Then I crank up the contrast, adjust the grayscale to taste, and invert the image. That's it. For this manual painting, I think I will need to do more testing. So I set up my material testing and place my usual numbers in the middle of my grid. Once the settings are saved, we are ready to engrave. Now, as I took the canvas and the MDF to the laser, something felt off. The acrylic paint dried very differently from what I'm used to with the spray paint. It was obvious. It didn't feel completely dry, and even after waiting overnight. The texture was rougher too, not the smooth, clean surface I usually get, right? So once the engraving began, I could tell something else was going on. It looked more like the laser was burning the paint than actually engraving detail. And then came the mistakes. For the canvas, I forgot to invert the image for the material test in XCS. My first tests were all wrong, of course, and you'll see. Then I realized my mistake and I tried to fix it. I kept testing because I just didn't feel good about the end product. I kept tweaking the numbers, finding real estate, moving things around, testing, and so on and so forth. I came back to test the canvas and thought to clean it and wipe it the way I normally do with my finished canvases. I started to clean it with these wipes that are basically 99% water, and the paint started to run. In a couple of those grid squares, the paint lifted right off all the way to the core. What else can go wrong? Well, when I went to the real live engraving, I left the setting in grayscale mode instead of Bayer. I tried again with a smaller version. I just didn't want to waste that real estate, and I kept moving things around, and of course, it turned out much better. Because Bayer never fails. I guess it was a good opportunity to show you the difference between the two bitmap modes, right? I'm just trying to remain positive here, and at this point I'm looking for any kind of silver lining I could find. When I finished checking the canvas, I ran the second pass, and of course that turned up the contrast and cleaned up things, making it look very nice, at least on camera. I'll be honest with you, I was getting seriously frustrated, and a couple of times I felt like giving up. Total mess. I decided to leave the canvas as it was and started to work on the MDF. I was originally planning to use half the MDF for testing and save the other half for the final engraving. So the first test worked very well and I went for the final run, the official engraving. The first pass went well. I couldn't see much of the contrast I like, but I know the second pass usually fixes that. So I ran it a second time and guess what? The laser burned right through the paint, down to the MDF. I saw this weird yellowish tint and I realized it was the raw board showing through. Being that the MDF was a test, I decided to leave things there. It has been an interesting few days, to say the least, from the painting experience, working together with the missus, me being tired at night and making silly mistakes, I tell you, to the excitement of watching the laser engrave these wonderful pieces. I mean, it's been great. By the way, I'm using the xTool S1 for this job and honestly I've been blown away by it. From the build quality to precision, it's just been a game changer for me on all the kind of projects we love doing here. If you're thinking about getting into laser engraving or upgrading your setup, I have dropped a link in the description. Same machine you're watching right now and I tell you, it's fantastic. And now for the reveal, right? And it looks good. I guess it looks good. I'm not super excited with how it turned out, but it is what it is. I think it was mostly the mistakes that brought me down a little bit, and I was just happy to see it done. But we are Severna Builds here. We don't hide our mistakes in hopes that it will help you. So me being me, I couldn't leave things like that, and after showing you all the struggles, the mistakes, and the setbacks, it just didn't feel right ending without something finished properly for you guys. So I took a deep breath, grabbed a fresh canvas and gave it one more go. This time I took it slow, adjusted the bitmap mode, double checked the contrast and tweaked the settings just a bit based on what I learned from the tests. And it worked. I'm okay with how it turned out, to be honest with you. Not perfect, but definitely closer to what I had in mind. This really sums up what these projects are all about. Try, fail, learn, and try again. If you're out there struggling with your own setup or first engravings, don't quit on the first bump or the second or the fifth. And if you have to start over like I did, don't think of it as a waste of time. It is just the price you need to pay to get better. Now we can call this one done, finito. My Patreon supporters got an early peek of my results during the week and an earful. I was about to give up so many times and I was already talking about backup plans for the video and so on. So thank you guys for being there for me. Oh, and before I forget, we will be hosting a Q&A live stream. I'm calling these episodes Behind the Engravings. And this is where you can ask whatever you want about laser engraving, canvas work, or this week's video, where we will share some of the BTS, as you kids are calling it nowadays, all the behind the scenes stuff, and fill you in with the things that didn't make the final video. All right, before I go, let me just say this manual painting approach can work, but it's definitely not the same as spray painting. The paint was new to us, and I'm still not sure if it was just the type or the method or whatever. Drying times were long, the finish was inconsistent. For sure, every layer had a different thickness, but still, the whole thing was harder to control and way messier. Would I recommend it? I'm not sure. If you can't spray paint, it's definitely an option. But you'll need to test more, wait more, and load up on patience. You also need to prep extra canvases or MDF because you will mess up. I did. Maybe because I was tired after work, maybe just because this method is harder, but you will need the extra help. Would I switch to this over spray painting? Absolutely not. But I can see why someone might want to try. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. It really helps the channel and let us know we're on the right track. And if you're into lasers, DIY builds, or just want to follow along with our journey, consider subscribing. It is free and it means the world to us. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see next. More painted canvases, color tests, engraving other materials, you name it. As always, thank you for being here, for your support, and for sharing your time with us. See you on the next one. So long.